Book of Revelation, apocalypse is not an apocalypse. Y'all cool with that?
Yes. Yes, I am.
What is it? Skylore. Astral prophecy. Jesus group astral prophecy based on common Mediterranean Israelite skylore.
What are the differences in the way that Catholics and Protestants differ in their view of Revelation?
Book of Revelation, that's too complex to talk about right now. But I'm getting at something today. That's a great question, but we'd be here for days and days. This gets to a root of a lot of things, and if you can cut this root, you solve a whole lot of problems. Then we can, as things dry up, we can see how they developed, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Like misunderstanding these images is talking about way off in the future times. Want to continue?
Yes.
Here we go. Let's talk about problems with the received view. To clear things up for us, Dr. Bruce Molina begins by eliminating the categories of apocalypse and eschatology altogether. Let's get rid of these terms. They're just muddling the waters. Why does he get rid of these two terms completely? Well, he does so for three simple reasons, which he feels should prove adequate. Number one, the definitions of these terms, apocalypse and eschatology, are anachronistic. They entail the retrojecting of many post-Enlightenment concerns into biblical antiquity. Two, these definitions conceptualize what can only be called, by Bruce Molina, faulty history. Talk about that in a moment. Three, the genre, the literary genre of Mark chapter 13 is a final discourse, not a farewell discourse. Balabansky. Definitely not apocalyptic eschatological farewell discourse. Balabansky. The literary genre of Mark chapter 13 is that of a final discourse of a person near death concerning the fate of the temple city, Jerusalem. Let's look first of all at why these definitions are anachronistic and break down these three reasons. The definitions of eschatology and apocalyptic are etic, modern scholarly definitions. They look at the world from the perspective of 18th and 19th century scholars and their practices and their concerns. To begin with, eschatology presumably stands in contrast to protology. Okay, what's that? Well, eschata, the last, right, in Greek, protos, the first. So you have the last, that's neat, like a novel, like an 18th century, 19th century novel, right? It's a bookend. So you have a bookend over here, you have a bookend over here, you got Revelation over here, you got Genesis over here. You've got eschatology over here, you've got protology over here. In other words, eschatology presumably stands in contrast to protology, dissolution versus creation. This should be a dead giveaway that viewing things according to the standard model are amiss. Because in Mark chapter 13, there is no dissolution of creation, just a destruction of Jerusalem, the temple city. Mark chapter 13, verse 1 to 4. As he was making his way out of the temple area, one of his devoted followers said to him, "Look, teacher, what stones and what buildings!" Jesus said to him, "Do you see these great buildings? There will not be one stone left upon another that will not be thrown down." What's the context? What's he talking about?
Talking about the destruction of the temple.
As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple area, Peter, James, John, and Andrew asked Jesus privately, "Tell us, when will this happen?" What's this?
The destruction
So everything that follows in Mark chapter 13 is going to be about what? And what sign will there be when all these things, what are all these things? Are about to come to an end. How is it that all these brilliant, and they're brilliant, I really mean that, theologians and scholars miss that? Because they got ideas. They got 2,000 years of theological, devotional, and all these ideas freight inside, particularly 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st century commitments to the received view. Scholarly, spurious familiarity. Bruce Molina does admit that while there is some evidence that some ancient elites believed in cosmic disintegration, Stoic and Epicurean viewpoints, such was not the case at all in Israel. The reasons he gives for this are, first, it was inconceivable to them, and second, the God of Israel created the cosmos. There is no dissolution. The third reason Molina provides that there is no evidence that ancient Israelites believed in cosmic disintegration is that Israel's biblical tradition says the creation stands forever. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 4, a generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. How do we miss that? Matthew chapter 5 verse 18, Jesus said, Skyvolt and earth will pass away. Wait a minute, Bill, right there. He says it's going to pass away. Hold on. Why is Jesus making this comparison? And let's see what it really means. Skyvolt and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Is that saying that there will be actually a time in which Skyvolt and earth pass away? Or that just like Skyvolt and earth are forever, even more so my words are forever? My words are even more assured than what you absolutely are certain of, that many things may happen and many things may change, but Skyvolt and earth will always be. Mark chapter 13, verse 31, Jesus said, Skyvolt and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Matthew 24, boy, you love saying this, right? It's over and over again. Jesus said, Matthew 24, 35, Skyvolt and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Watch how Luke puts it. Luke chapter 16, verse 17. Jesus said, it is easier for Skyvolt and earth to pass away than for the smallest part of a letter of the law to become invalid. Luke chapter 21, 33, Jesus said, Skyvolt and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. On the third reason, the high context presupposition is that Skyvolt and earth are enduring and will never pass away, a point which gives even greater permanence to Jesus' words and the words of God. For most Hellenized people in the first century, the universe is a geocentric reality. All creation is centered about the earth. This includes Israel and the way the author of the book of Revelation sees the universe. The universe is a closed system. Skyvolts, like bowls, encompass a stationary spherical earth. In the interior, constellations, planets, and the sun and moon travel around in the ecliptic pathway and litter the interior of the Skyvolts as God's Downton Abbey. God is on the other side of the Skyvolt, enthroned on the sky. The bottom part of this Skyvolt system is the bottomless pit, where all the cosmic viscera gathers in a sulfur pool. Does that help explain to you what Revelation is describing? In a lake of fire and all that? Can we hold to this cosmology anymore, folks? The earth, Gaia or Gay, the geo part of geocentric, cannot change, folks. The Skyvolt might change its features and impact on the land, but neither land nor Skyvolt can be destroyed or disintegrated. They are permanent realities. The standard definition of apocalyptic as a literary genre is equally etic. modern scholarly. To serve for a historic understanding of documents of the past, the definition has to be stripped of its etic features so that it can kind of get in touch with the emic. For example, the following categories were non-existent in antiquity: otherworldly, transcendent reality, eschatological salvation, another supernatural world, the future. Remember that? Yarbrough Collins' updated definition of Collins' definition of apocalypse? She used all those terms: otherworldly, transcendent reality, eschatological salvation, another supernatural world, the future. If such terms are used, they must be defined in some comparative perspective. If they are left to stand on their own, they imply an ethnocentric as well as anachronistic perspective. And when we read the Bible, lay people and scholars alike have to take care that they don't fall for anachronism, often stimulated by 1, theological commitments and baggages, and 2, spirituality. Also, we must be on the watch out that we don't fall for ethnocentrism, often stimulated by wrong ideas like 1, biblical people, they're just like us, and 2, holy people equal our idealized autobiographies. We need to pay attention to history. We need to pay attention to the specific cultural setting, and we must beware a congenial Jesus.